Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear audience, I am Dr. Khurram Shehzad from National University of Modern Languages, Islamabad. Today I am going to make a video on post-structuralism and deconstruction. We have already talked about structuralism. We have read Saussure's ideas. We have talked about that how language it works. We have talked about the Saussure's ideas related to sign, signifier and signified. That sign is a combination of signifier and signified, and the relationship between signifier and signified is arbitrary. It is based on convention, and there are rules and regulations in the language. It provides us a system. So some of the ideas of Saussure, Derrida also takes up, and he, builds his idea, his theory onto the ideas of Saussure. For example, we have read that Saussure says that in language we have got differences. We have got pa and pa sounds. We have ta and da sounds. And from vocal cords, when they are produced differently. So in this way, the relationship in language is based on negativity. So something which is pit, it cannot be bit, it cannot be fit, it cannot be wit. So wit is different from lit, lit is different from pit, pit is different from bit, and every time we change the first sound, we get a new word, and that new word has got different meaning. So Derrida believes in these things. But then Derrida says that the signifier and signified, they are no more tied together. Since the signifiers, they are not, his, lecture, his essay was on structure, sign and play. So here the word play is very significant. Here play means that how language is going to play its role in creating multiple readings of the text. How human beings, they are going to play with the language. How multiple meanings they can be created. We have read that structuralism, it gives, structuralism, it opposes the ideas of humanism. It opposes the ideas of liberal humanism or modernity. And post-structuralism, again, it does not believe that there is one truth. No doubt, structuralism talks about scientific method. In scientific method also, they talked about the inherent structures, and those inherent structures are considered that they are the universal structures. So we have read Todorov, Gerald Janet, Jonathan Keller, and they were talking about, the inherent structures of folk tales, of myths, of stories. But Derrida does not believe that we can have the same truth, we can have the only truth. Rather, he talks about play. It means that there are multiple readings of the same text. It means that there is no decidability. Rather, there is undecidability about the meaning. Rather, there is no fixity of the meaning. So meanings are not fixed. So when meanings are not fixed, truth is not fixed. When truth is not fixed, reality is not fixed. Reality is not one. When reality is not one, truth is not one. Post-structuralism talks about that there are multiple realities of the phenomena that you are observing, that there are multiple truths that you can come up with when you are reading or talking about a particular phenomena. We should also remember that structuralism takes its ideas from language, from linguistics. On the other hand, Derrida, who is a French philosopher, brings in his ideas from philosophy. Philosophy starts with doubt, and Nietzsche and Heidegger, you know, Derrida has already gone through. So philosophy does not believe that there is one truth. Philosophy, it even speaks against the common realities, the common universal truths, and it is very skeptical. So he developed a critical theory called deconstruction theory that is associated with post-structuralism. He is known as the most difficult philosopher of the 20th century. Derrida is known as the father of deconstruction. He attacks upon the of reason, values of truth. In his book Grammatology, the scientific study of system, Derrida was influenced by Heidegger and Nietzsche, and he accepts the ideas of Saussure, and he believes that meanings lie in difference, but add the idea that meaning is also differ. He gives us the concept of différance, and it has got two meanings: to differ and to defer. Multavi karna, postpone. So, for example, he has got a glass which is full of milk. So, here, if we try to understand the word glass, what comes to your mind? How will you define the word glass? Somebody yesterday said in the class, container. So, if I say that this container has got all the glasses, so in the previous sentence, signified glass was described as a container. So in this sentence, second sentence, the container, which is a signifier here, it was signified in the previous sentence. So not only the signifiers, there is multiple play in them. Signifieds, they are also no more tied with the signifiers. So first of all, pa is different from ba is different from da. Meanings, they are based on negativity, on difference. So there is a difference. So this idea he has taken from Saussure, and he has added another idea, that is defer, defer, to postpone, multavi karna. So if the word love is to be explained, somebody will say affection, and if the word affection is to be explained, somebody may say respect. So what is happening? You are throwing each and everything onto the word affection, and affection is throwing each and everything onto the word respect. Because respect is what affection is not. Affection is what love is not. So not only there is a difference, but also the meanings, they are deferred, they are postponed. So there is no one-on-one relationship in signifier and signified. We have talked about binary system. Structuralism creates binaries. So in every kind of text that we are reading, novel, drama, movie, poem, it is based on binary system. You will always find truth, falsehood, light, dark, culture, nature, male, female. So everything which is coming on the left side of the binary, it is privileged in Western metaphysics. This is what Derrida challenges. And Derrida says, when there is a binary, it means it has got a system, it has got a center, and something which is in the center, it cannot be replaced. In the example of the tinker toy, we have seen that you can change the rods. One rod can be replaced by another rod. And you can change the size, but the system, the central part, it cannot be replaced. And this he calls logocentrism. That all the systems in Western metaphysics, they have got central positions. And these central positions, they are very important. Everything is coming out of this central position and is going back to this central position. For example, there was a time when God was in the middle, so everything was coming out of God and going back to God. Then reason came in its place, so everything was coming out of the reason. and going back to the reason. And sometimes consciousness is in the center, sometimes unconsciousness is in the center, sometimes self is in the center. So every time we attack this center, what will happen? We will destroy this center and we will create and we will bring some another system which is going to replace this system. But again, that system will have a center, because without that center, there can be no system. Logocentrism. Knowledge is presented by Western people, considered as universal knowledge. They produce the idea, this one is beautiful, this one is standard. Writer is of the view, it is not universal one. Because whenever you attack the center, you try to destroy the center, some other system will replace it, and whatever the other system is, when it is replacing it, it will have a center. So logocentrism, it cannot be replaced. So we have got, the idea of logocentrism. So binary system where one element, it is privileged, male is always privileged, female was always, it was never given privilege. So in the society, women, they are maltreated, they are malrepresented, they are stereotypically represented, and in all kinds of texts, all kinds of system, some of the elements, they are privileged, and there is a binary. Derrida wants to erase this binary. Derrida says, erase this binary, give equality to both the elements, and then see that what are the underlying values and how these values, they are going to work, they are going to play their role in the system. And of course, when you break the binary, the things, they cannot retain their place. They cannot sustain their place. They will be dispersed. When they will be dispersed, there will be no control. And central position, it is always controlling. It limits the play of the other elements. And when you destroy the central position, you will have to bring in some other system, and that system will contain the center again. So logocentrism, it cannot be destroyed. This scientific approach has nothing to know about logic, but it represents Western dominance. There is no equal representation of knowledge, only yardsticks of beauty is presented by Western people. Believing that signification is both arbitrary and conventional, Derrida now begins his process of turning Western philosophy on its head. He boldly asserts that the entire history of Western metaphysics, from Plato to the present, is founded on a classic fundamental error. This great error is Western philosophy's searching for what Derrida calls a transcendental signified, an external point of reference upon which one may build a concept of philosophy. One found this transcendental signified would provide ultimate meaning, since it would be the origin of origins reflecting itself, and Derrida says, providing a reassuring end to the reference from sign to sign. It would, in essence, guarantee to those who believe in it that they do exist and have meaning. In the Western metaphysics, we have read that speech, it was always given privilege, and writing was never given privilege, because the person who is speaking is present and the person who is writing is not present. So speech is privilege and writing is never given privilege. So speech is equated with presence and writing is always equated with absence. So another binary is created where presence, the person I am speaking, I am in the center, so I am present, so I am privileged because I am the one who is deciding that what will go on. I am the one who is controlling the whole system. If the whole system resides on me, but there was a God who was in the center, then, reason, it took its place. Then language, it took its place. So logocentrism. There is another concept which is called phonocentrism. Derrida believes that establishing such conceptually based binary oppositions are the basis for believing what is really real, one's worldview, is problematic at best. Instead, he wishes to dismantle or deconstruct the structure such binary oppositions have created. Binary has to be erased. Equality has to be created. Derrida says that binary oppositions on which Western metaphysics has been constructed since the time of Plato are structured so one element will always be privileged and the other unprivileged. In this way of thinking, the first one or top element of the pairs in the following list of binary oppositions are privileged. Man is privileged over woman, human is privileged over animal, soul is privileged over body, good is privileged over body, bad. So in all kinds of texts, dramas, movies, you will come across that there is bad and there is good. So in the beginning, we talk about goodness, and then wickedness. It tries to triumph over the goodness, but in the end, it is always goodness which wins. In the end, it is always Western metaphysics which is privileged. It is always males who are privileged. So binaries, you will find it is there everywhere. This privileging of speech over writing, Derrida calls phonocentrism. So when one binary opposition element, it is privileged, this is called phonocentrism. And something which is in the center, that is called logocentrism. So I have just explained the difference between speech and writing. And speech, it is equated with presence, and writing, it is equated with absence. Metaphysics of presence. Accordingly, Derrida coins the phrase metaphysics of presence to encompass those ideas such as logocentrism, phonocentrism, the operation of binary oppositions, and other notions that Western thought posits in its conceptions of language and metaphysics. His objective is to dismantle the shaky and fragile foundations upon which such beliefs have been established. By deconstructing the basic premises of metaphysics of presence, Derrida believes that he gives us a strategy of reading that opens up a variety of new interpretations, therefore unseen by those who are bound by the restraints of Western thought. Dear students, we have talked about different concepts of Derrida, but I cannot explain all of them. Let's talk about some of the principles of deconstruction. The written language should not be considered as containing a self-evident meaning. Structuralism believes, new criticism believes the text is self-contained. Everything is there in the text. Post-structuralism, because it is the extension of structuralism, it believes that everything is not contained in the language. It is not self-evident. The author is not seen as the origin of his or her text or the authority of its meaning, because there was an essay, The Death of the Author. So author is no more there. So author is not the creator of meaning. Rather, it is the text. Rather, it is the techniques that you are going to apply onto the text. It is the, meta or cognitive abilities of the reader that he or she is going to apply onto the text. And you are trying to look for contradictions in the text. Because structuralism is interested in unity of the text, post-structuralism is interested in disunity of the text. Post-structuralism talks about contradictions in time and viewpoint, in tense, and how characters, they are talking about contradictions. On the other hand, structuralism talks about balances, parallels, balances, unity. There is no possibility of absolute truth. Post-structuralism does not believe in absolute truth. So when there is no absolute truth, there is no one reality. So it is, basically attacking the epistemological and ontological foundations of Western metaphysics. And frankly speaking, these things are not new, dear audience, dear students. We have 4 or 5 different imams in our religion. And they sometimes did not agree with the other imam. For example, Imam Abu Hanifa rahmatullah alayh, Imam Jafir Sadiq rahmatullah alayh, Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal rahmatullah alayh, Imam Shafi rahmatullah alayh. They did disagree with their, with the ideas of the other imams, and they presented their point of views about a particular phenomena, about a particular event, and they did not fight, and they did not say that you are kafir or you are Muslim. They believe that it is their understanding. They believe that it is their understanding that they are applying on the text. And because text, it contains gaps. Text, it is made up of words, and words, they create ambiguity. And because of that ambiguity, when we are applying our knowledge, our mind onto the text, we come up with different kind of interpretation. So they always said, when our interpretation, it goes against Quran and Sunnah, Quran and Hadith, leave our interpretation and follow Quran and Sunnah. So Derrida is talking about almost the same things. His word, very significant word, play. Of course, play means how language is being played, how language is giving different kinds of meanings, how different interpretations can be created. When different interpretations are there, it means there is no absolute truth. And all the four Aimas, most of the time, sometimes they did agree and sometimes they did not agree on a particular concept. For example, the problem of divorce in Islam, Ahle Hadith will talk about it differently. Imam Hanifa Rahmatullah Alayh talks about it differently. Imam Jafar Sadiq Rahmatullah Alayh talks about it differently because they have their own understandings of the texts. So multiple interpretations are there. It is up to you whose interpretation you accept. It is up to you whose interpretation you believe in. So there is no possibility of absolute truth. It is difficult to isolate literature as a separate discourse since it is always contaminated with the entire universe of discourses. Intertextuality is there. Interdiscursivity is there. Text is made up of other texts which came into being before this text. So we quote from other texts and then we present our point of view to the world. So intertextuality is there. Read the text closely. Here is the basic method of deconstruction. Find a binary opposition. Show how each term, rather than being polar opposites of its pair term, is actually part of it. Then the structural opposition which kept them apart collapses, as we see with the terms culture and nature in Derrida's essay. Ultimately, you cannot tell which is which, and the idea of binary opposites loses meaning or is put into play. This method is called deconstruction because it is a combination of construction, deconstruction. The idea is that you do not simply construct new system of binaries with the previously subordinated terms on top, nor do you destroy the old system. Rather, you deconstruct the old system by showing how its basic units of structuration, binary pairs, and rules for their combination contradict their own logic. So dear students, you will find aporia in the text. You will find gap in the text. You will find ambiguity in the text. So when there is ambiguity in the text, undecidability about the meaning, it will flourish. It will float. So signifiers, they are no more attached with the signifieds. Even signifieds, they are no more, stable. So when language is not stable, how can meanings be stable? Derrida did not provide any clear direction as he only focuses on to destroy everything. If everyone becomes a writer, then it can create more ambiguity in understanding reality. More ambiguity expected through this. The opponents of deconstruction are of the view that it lacks seriousness about reading literature. Its opponents feel that it threatens the stability of the literary academy, that it promotes philosophical and professional nihilism. Further, it is too dogmatic, it is awfully obscure and clique-ridden, and it is mostly responsible for the heavy emphasis on the theory over practical criticism in recent years. Well, dear students, I have talked about post-structuralism or deconstruction. Structuralism comes out of linguistics. Post-structuralism comes out of philosophy. Philosophy believes in skepticism. So deconstruction is very much skeptical about all the systems that we are having in the society. Deconstruction does not believe in absolute truth. Rather, it believes in multiple interpretations of the text. That is why Derrida's essay, the word it contains play. It means here that multiple interpretations can be created and absolute truth cannot be found. Thank you very much.